Okay, so today I am gonna start Aura Lightning and we can say Aura Lightning component. So how we create lightning component we will learn today. So what is Aura component? If you want to create mobile responsive component, so that time you can use Aura Lightning component. And the second point you can write if you want to create a single page, you can say a single page architecture is another thing. Okay, you can say if you want to create single page UI, so that time you can also use Aura Lightning component. Okay, if you want to create single page UI, use Aura Lightning component. If you want to create mobile responsive component, use Aura Lightning component. Okay, and it's the front end part means from which we can create the UI like Visual Force page. Okay, Visual Force page was not the mobile responsive. Okay, and Visual Force page was not the single page. Okay, the architecture of the Visual Force page was multi-page architecture. Okay, now we will learn what is the MVC of you can say Aura Lightning component. We know MVC of Visual Force page, MVC of Aura Lightning component. Okay, so we will learn MVC of Aura Lightning component. Okay, so what will be the MVC of Aura Lightning component? We'll understand now. So let's suppose we have client side UI. Okay, then we have server side. So okay, I'm going to create MVC of for a lightning component, and it's important when you will give the interview that time in interview. I don't know now, but it was the important question. What's the difference between you can say Visual Force page and Aura component? So let's suppose you have to create the UI. So how you will create the UI? You will create the UI with the help of Aura component. You will use Aura component. Fine. We have Aura component. I'll use Aura component. Okay. Next, what we have JS controller. We will, if you want to create the UI where you will write the code in Aura component, you will write the code. Okay, fine. If you have to write the logic, if you have to write the logic, so where you will write the logic? You will write the logic in JS controller. Okay, you will write the logic in JS controller. JS controller, you can say, yeah, server side controller. Okay, from where you will get the data, from where you will get the data
From database.
from database. Yeah, JS controller. Logic we will write in JS controller, but there is some limitation in JS controller. We cannot write SOQL and TML in JS controller. Okay, these are the limitation. Now we have to create the UI, and in UI we have to display the data. Okay, on click of button we have to display the data. So data, how we will get the data from database? With the help of SOQL. So SOQL we cannot write in server side controller या JS controller. We cannot write SOQL. Logic we can write, but SOQL logic we can't write. Okay, so we know where we can write SOQL logic. We can write SOQL logic in Apex class. That time we will call the Apex class. Okay, if you are unable to achieve anything with JS controller, then go with Apex class. Okay, in Apex class, what you will do? You will call, yeah, you will call the Apex class, and in Apex class you will write the query. And same MVC we will follow in LWC also. Okay, same MVC we will follow in LWC also. So now what's our requirement? We on click of button we have to display the data. We have to create the UI, and there is one button, display record, and when we will click on the display record, we have to display the data. Okay, this on click of display record we have to display the account data. So button, where we will create the button? In Aura component we will create component. In component we will create the button. When user click on the button, we will call JS controller. Okay, because logic we write in JS controller. Okay, but what we have to do? We have to display the record. So record we can't fetch with JS controller. Oh, okay. So that time what we will do? We will connect the JS controller with Apex class. We will call the Apex class. Okay, in JS controller. On click of button, we will call the JS controller. We can't write query in JS controller, so we will call the Apex class. In Apex class, what we will do? We will write SOQL. We will write SOQL. SOQL will execute. By SOQL, we will fetch the data. From where? We will fetch the data from database. Okay, we will fetch the data from database. Okay, so data will come from database. It will come in SOQL. Okay, I want to know where you will store the data in Apex class. If we will say we have to store the data, account
In
information
where?
in, yeah, in variable. So here, if you have to store the data, so you will use variable. Fine. You can remove it and store data in a variable. Okay, in Apex class where we will store the data in a variable. Okay, then data, whatever the data we have in a variable, what we will do, we will return it. And which method, yeah, which controller, yeah, which class will call the method, that class, yeah, that कंट्रोलर विल गेट द रिटर्न वैल्यू. ओके, हमने सारा डेटा रिटर्न किया, तो रिटर्न वैल्यू किस में आ जाएगी? जेएस कंट्रोलर. मींस वी विल सेंड द डेटा फ्रॉम अपेक्स क्लास टू जेएस कंट्रोलर. ठीक है, नाउ वैल्यू विल कम इन जेएस कंट्रोलर, वेयर वी विल स्टोर द डेटा इन जेएस कंट्रोलर. अगर कुछ डेटा आ रहा है जेएस कंट्रोलर में, तो कहाँ स्टोर करेंगे हम? ओके, सो इन जेएस कंट्रोलर व्हाट वी विल डू, वी विल स्टोर द डेटा in variable. In JS controller we also create the variable. ठीक है, जैसे हम सर्वर साइड अपेक्स क्लास में वेरिएबल क्रिएट करते हैं, ऐसे ही हम जेएस कंट्रोल में भी वेरिएबल क्रिएट करते हैं. सो वी विल स्टोर द डेटा इन ए वेरिएबल. ओके, नाउ व्हाट वी हैव टू डू, वी हैव टू सेंड द डेटा फ्रॉम जेएस फाइल टू ओरा कंपोनेंट. वी हैव टू सेंड द डेटा फ्रॉम जेएस टू ओरा कंपोनेंट. ठीक है, कोई कुछ भी लॉजिक लिखेंगे, भेज दिया डेटा हमने. नाउ डेटा विल कम इन ओरा कंपोनेंट. ठीक है, वेयर यू विल स्टोर द डेटा इन ओरा कंपोनेंट. अब ओरा कंपोनेंट में भी हमें डेटा कहीं स्टोर करके रखना है. So where you will store the data in Aura component? We will create the attribute. Okay. We will store the data in a attribute. So in Aura component, you will create the attribute. In JS file, you will create the variable. In Apex class variable to hold the data. Okay. So it's the complete MVC of which you can say Aura Lightning component. Okay. It's the complete MVC of Aura Lightning component. If you have any doubt, you can ask me how flow is working. ठीक है, नाउ क्वेश्चन इज दैट व्हाट इज मॉडल, व्हाट इज व्यू, व्हाट इज कंट्रोलर. ठीक है, ये तो एमबीसी है. ठीक है, फ्लो हो गया. व्हाट इज मॉडल, व्हाट इज व्यू, व्हाट इज कंट्रोलर. ठीक है, सो हेयर व्हाट विल बी द मॉडल. Okay, model, it will be aura component. What is model?
Aura component.
विजुअल फोर्स पेज में और मॉडल क्या होता था? Is anyone who would like to say anything here?
Database.
Database. Good. So what is model? Model is database. ठीक है, व्यू क्या हुआ?
Aura component.
Yeah, view is aura component. Then model view controller. So here controller. So
GS.
we have two controller. Okay. In aura lightning component we have two controller. One is server side controller. Second is client side. So it is the client side controller and that is server side controller. Okay, it's a server side controller. Apex class. We have second JS controller. It's a client side controller. Means whatever UI you will create for client and you have tried the logic. So you will use JS, JavaScript. In JavaScript, you will write the logic. Okay, if you want to fetch the data or send the data in database, that time you will call Apex class. Then with the help of Apex class, you will send the data. Yeah, you will fetch the data. So it's a server side controller. Okay, so it's the interview question. What is client side controller? What is server side controller? What is the difference between client side controller and server side controller? Okay, so what is
Okay,
the
sir.
difference between client side controller and server side controller? There is only one difference. In server side controller, we can write SQL query, we can write TML, but in client side controller, we cannot write SQL and DML. ठीक है? In client side controller, we cannot write SQL and TML, but in server side controller, we can write SQL and SOSL, DML, these things. Okay, in server side controller. These are the difference. लिखवा नहीं रहा हूं मैं, अपने आप लिख लेना, बट इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाता है क्वेश्चन, व्हाट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन क्लाइंट साइड एंड सर्वर साइड कंट्रोल। ठीक है, ये एमबीसी हुआ। किसी को कोई डाउट यहाँ तक? सो यू कैन आस्क मी अगर एमबीसी में कोई डाउट है, एल्स वी कैन स्टार्ट दी कंपोनेंट। ठीक है, इस फ्लो को समझते हैं फिर।
Clear है
पार्ट
sir.
सब क्लियर है ना? गुड। ठीक है, ओरा कंपोनेंट जब भी क्रिएट करो, स्टोर करना है डेटा, एट्रीब्यूट क्रिएट करनी है हमें। जेएस में स्टोर करना है डेटा वेरिएबल, एपेक्स क्लास में वेरिएबल क्रिएट करना हम जानते हैं। ठीक है, नाउ व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग ओरा कंपोनेंट? if we had visual force space, why we are using aura component? We are going with aura component. Okay, so means basically what's the difference between visual force space and aura component? What's the main reason to use the aura component? Okay, aura lightning and visual force space. Okay. So first difference is aura lightning is fast. First difference, aura lightning is fast. Visual force page is slow. Visual force page is slow. ठीक है. Second difference, aura lightning is mobile responsive.
Why aura lightning is faster than visual
I'll
force?
yeah, I'll teach you. Okay. When
Okay, sir.
I'll write complete point, then I'll teach you what's the reason why aura lightning is fast. Okay, ma'am. Aura lightning is mobile responsive. Visual force page is not mobile responsive. Okay. So visual force page follow, you can say MVC means it's based on visual force page are based on the page, but aura lightning is based on the component. Okay. And we can say it or lightning follows single page architecture. Yeah, it's based on single page architecture. And visual force page is based on multi-page architecture. Okay. Next, aura lightning we use to aura lightning component we use to create the lightning UI. For lightning component we use to create lightning UI. And visual force page we use to create the classic UI. To create the classic UI. Okay. Now, okay, we have understood 3 points. Second point, third, fourth. Second, third, fourth, we know. Okay. But why or lightning is fast, why visual force page is slow, we will understand it. Okay. So let's suppose I have created one class and there are two visual force page. Page 1, page 2. Okay. There are two page 1 and page 2. So in page 1, there is one button. In page 1, there is button. So when you will click on the button, when you will click on the button, that time you can call page 2. Okay. On click of next button, page 2 will call. Okay, page 2 will display. So is anyone can tell me how can we, you can say how can we navigate in visual force page from one page to another page. जैसे मैं नेक्स्ट बटन पे क्लिक करूं, पेज 1 की वाई हाइड हो जाए, पेज 2 डिस्प्ले हो जाए, पेज 2 कॉल कर पाए हम. How can we navigate from one page to another page in visual force page?
By page reference.
Okay, with the help of page reference. Fine. Okay, so what is page reference?
Is used um, to one page. It is used to move one page to another page. Like if we click on next button, so that time another page will show.
ठीक है, ये कोड आपने देखा होगा, 2 लाइन का कोड सभी ने। पेज रेफरेंस, पेज, एनी वेरिएबल नेम यू कैन राइट, पी पेज, पीजी, वॉट, ये कोड सभी ने देखा है।
Yes, sir.
गुड। यहाँ पे हम, ठीक है, पेज रेफरेंस में पास कर देते कुछ वेरिएबल को, acc.id, लाइक दैट। ठीक है, हमने इस तरह का कोड किया था कि वो इफ व्हाट वी वांट, आई वांट टू रीडायरेक्ट टू, यू कैन से, account detail page, that time we were writing it. So why page reference? Why page reference? What we are getting? We are getting page URL. Why page reference? What we will get? We will get page URL. Page URL means this URL. Okay, I'll get this URL, and in this URL, what we are doing? We are adding 18-digit record ID. Okay, we are adding 18-digit record ID. We are adding 18-digit record ID. So when we will add 18-digit record ID, what will happen? Record will open in view mode. ठीक है, तो हम पेज यूआरएल को कॉल करा देते हैं। विद द हेल्प ऑफ पेज रेफरेंस वी विल गेट द पेज यूआरएल। ठीक है, अगर यूआरएल चेंज हुई, इफ यू विल चेंज द यूआरएल, सो व्हाट विल हैपन? यूआरएल चेंज होने का मतलब क्या होता है? इफ आई क्लिक ऑन
Page.
द सेटअप, पेज पेज यूआरएल हुई, मतलब पेज रिफ्रेश हुआ। ठीक है, आई क्लिक ऑन द एक्टिविटीज, यूआरएल विल चेंज, पेज विल रिफ्रेश। सभी को समझ में आ रही है बात? अगर यूआरएल चेंज होएगी तो पेज होएगा रिफ्रेश, मींस पेज विल रीलोड। ठीक है, इफ पेज विल रीलोड, so it will take too much time. If page will reload, so it will take too much time. Okay, that's the reason visual force page is slow, because whenever you will call the another page, every time page will reload. Okay, because with the help of page reference we can call it. Page reference means we will get the base URL, base URL will change. But in, you can say, or a lightning component, if you want to call any component, okay, same scenario I am taking for Aura Lightning. Okay, we have two components. So what I want the UI of component 2 in component 1. Okay, so what we can do? We have to write simple code. Call component 2. We can easily call it c dot component 2. On click of next button, we can display the component 2 UI. We can display the component 2 UI. So that time URL will not change. URL will not change. If URL will not change, so that it will not take too much time. Directly it will display the आउटपुट। ठीक है, मीन्स अगर एक पेज है हमारे पास एंड वी हैव एडेड मैनी कंपोनेंट ऑन दैट पेज, फर्स्ट कंपोनेंट, सेकंड कंपोनेंट, थर्ड कंपोनेंट एंड फोर्थ कंपोनेंट। ओके, वी हैव 8 कंपोनेंट, और यू कैन से 8 विजुअल फोर्स पेज, इट्स द यूआई। ठीक है, सपोज करो कि 8 कंपोनेंट है अगर ओरा लाइटिंग है, या सपोज करो कि 8 पेज है, अगर हमने विजुअल फोर्स पेज से क्रिएट किया है, ठीक है। सो लेट सपोज आई एम वर्किंग ऑन दैट component, I am working on that component, and when I'll click on the next button, when I'll click on the next button, if we are working in Visual Force page and I'll click on the next button, so what will happen? Complete URL will change. If complete URL will change, so component 1, it will reload. Component 2, sorry, page 2, it will also reload. It will. Okay, so all the constructor will execute. Constructor call will execute. Then complete. Okay, whenever we will call another Visual Force page, URL will change and complete code of other page will also execute. But in Aura component, it will not happen. On click of next button, what we can do, we can easily call the component. So URL will not change. If URL will not change, so component 2, 3, 4, these component code will not execute. Okay, if code will not execute, so it will not take too much time to get, you can say, to give the output. Okay, we will get the output easily. Okay, so now do you have any doubt why Visual Force page is slow and Aura component is fast? What's the reason? And why we are
No, sir,
using
clear.
Aura component instead of Visual Force page? Okay, सभी को क्लियर है ये why we are using
Yes, sir.
Visual Force page as compared to Visual Force page, and why we are using Aura component as compared to Visual Force page? क्योंकि उसमें URL
Yes,
चेंज
sir.
होती है, इसमें URL चेंज नहीं होती URL के बेसिस पे। सभी को यहाँ तक ओके है? Other participants, are you hearing me? Yeah, are you raising the hand here?
Yes, sir.